We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. All right, welcome on this Wednesday afternoon, morning, evening, whenever you're watching the show. I'm Stephen Willis. Thank you for watching the POMcast today, and I hope everybody is doing quite well. Before we get started today, I want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. That's 1-800-330-7461. Again, that's 1-800-330-7461. Basically, what I want it to do is everybody needs a vacation. We're 18 months into this at this point. Travel and Cruise World can be a man on the ground, tell you what's going on, where the mask mandate is, where everything is going on, and how to make your vacation extra special. They can get you the same price that you can get online and provide a resource for you on the way down and while you're planning. So travelandcruiseworld.com, see Central Florida like a local. Also want to tell you about bookatailgate.com. Basically, they have single game package, rest of the season packages. They can store your stuff. You can rent stuff. You can get a TV on your tent. You can get an extra tent. They can even pick up your tailgating. That's bookatailgate.com, 662-701-1177. Give them a call for all of your tailgating needs. Single game and rest of the season packages available if you need it. Also, if you want to watch the show, you can catch us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis and at Ole Positively. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. Of course, we're on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe, hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about, and that is going to be extra good. They are by far the best notification system out there. So no matter what you do, sign on to that YouTube, subscribe, and do that because we have things like 2021 greatest games on demand. Greatest games are in there. The press conference is there. The season's there. It can be a one-stop YouTube shop. Also, you can catch us on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word, all lowercase. Down below, you can see what we're on podcast-wise, at least the major ones. That's Positively Ole Miss. Leave a 5-star review. You can say whatever you want. Just leave a 5-star review. That'll help our algorithm. When people search Ole Miss Podcast, it can pop up. So thank you very much for that. Also, before we get started, tomorrow the show is going to be a little bit early. I have an 11:20 telehealth appointment with my tumor doc about the surgery, so I'm going to need to push that up by about a half an hour or an hour. So you normally see it at 10 Central. Tomorrow it might be at 9 Central. That's all I'm saying about that. It's still going to happen, still going to be there. But basically, I'll find out tomorrow if they are going to do the radiation, the 35 treatments that they have to do, or the radiosurgery, which will be one single, one shot, one kill surgery to get that in there. So that is pretty cool. So we'll find out tomorrow how that goes on. They called me like early this morning, and the meeting was this morning, and I was like, okay. That's kind of like that feeling of being just shepherded straight. As soon as you get to the emergency room, they send you back to where it's like, okay, this is serious. So it's a situation like that. But I don't anticipate something being that serious. It just kind of happened to work out. But it's called CyberKnife, what they're looking at doing. So that is pretty cool. So we'll see what goes on. I mean, it's one high dose of radiation. Hopefully they can kill that tumor and we don't have to worry about it anymore. So anyway, on today's show, we're going to talk about how it is time for Ole Miss to step up. This is the last game where they would be considered the underdog. This is the last game outside of the state of Mississippi. This is the game. If Ole Miss can get this game and walk out of Jordan-Hare 7-1, this has the potential for a very, very special season. But it kind of comes down to this game. We need this game. Now, A&M, nobody's saying A&M's not going to be tough. Nobody's saying Mississippi State's not going to be tough. We're saying that they're not going to be this tough. 5-2 Auburn at Jordan-Hare tough. You heard, or you will hear, I should say, Bill Flowers tomorrow night talk about the toughest stadium that he played in was Jordan-Hare. It was the only place that they played that you could hear the sound or you could feel the sound. Didn't matter at all about what was going on audibly, but you could actually feel the waves and the effect that it had on the game. So that was Jordan-Hare. That was Auburn. And people need to understand that this is a pretty good team they're going in to face. Everybody thinks about Georgia State. They think about Penn State, their previous, iterations kind of with Auburn. Losing to Georgia, there's no shame in losing to Georgia. But those are the previous things that influence people's opinion. But Auburn has not gone away. They're ranked, I think, 18th in the country. Ole Miss is 10th. You're playing their place. They're favored right now by 3 points. Like I said, I expect that by Friday evening to even get to 4 or 5. Because it's going to bet during the game because Alabama people bet emotionally. The line moves up during the week. The public's always going to be on Auburn. Public's always going to be on Alabama. That's just the way that works. Now, you look at the stuff immediately after the line posted. That was the Sharps. Look at the stuff on the day of the game. That's also the Sharps. Any line movement that happens there, pay attention to that. But this is a game when Ole Miss needs to step up. This is a game where Ole Miss gets to prove that it's arrived, that it's here. And then after this game, they got the ultimate trap game in Liberty. You got Texas A&M. Then you have Vanderbilt. And then you have Mississippi State. That's what the regular season looks like. Outside of Auburn, all of them are in the state of Mississippi. 2 more road games with Auburn and Mississippi State, sandwiched around a 3-game homestand. That's what it works. And we talked last night on the Biscuits and SEC preview that you can all see that I don't know who has the toughest pre-Egg Bowl game because the Saturday before, Ole Miss plays Vanderbilt and State plays Tennessee State. And I was just trying to think, which is the tougher game? What is the tougher game? And right now, Vanderbilt is just a disaster. I mean, just an utter disaster. They've already dropped a game to a 1AA school. Who's to say that Tennessee State wouldn't do exactly to them what East Tennessee State did? So when everybody looks at this, it's like, oh, Ole Miss has to play a conference game and they play Tennessee State. They may actually have the tougher game. Just being real and just talking about what's going on. Let's see. Forgot to do that. Just 1 second. Need to put today's press conference highlights in the queue. And move it around a little bit. All right. Today we're going to do a little bit of, obviously, the press conference highlights. We have Jeremy James, Otis Reese, and Miles Battle are the victims today, with press conference highlights. We'll put them on there. They'll answer some questions. I think it's a relatively short thing. And then we'll come back and talk a little bit about the week as a whole and what we can expect moving into the week that is. It's really a shame that Ole Miss and Auburn and Mississippi State and Kentucky are on at the same time. Both of them are better games than Georgia and Florida. It is a bad weekend for CBS. Of course, the last time you thought that, Texas A&M beat Alabama, so who knows? Let's do press conference highlights real quick whenever we get done with that. We will talk a little bit about what they say in the press conferences, and then we'll move on to the week that will be in college football. So stick around.
They're really athletic and physical. I mean, their edge guys that they get off the ball quickly. They're going to create some pressure. We just got to do our jobs, use their technique.
It's been a lot of fun. You know, I grew up playing receiver, as y'all know, and then playing defense. It's just like another refresher going back to receiver.
We just keep building. We've been the last couple games. We've been having a real good, solid game on defense. We just trying to get better week in and week out, get the correction and get better. And I really think the defense coming along, and it's starting to show, and we just hungry for more.
We just got to take it week by week. Go 1-0 every week's the goal. Can't really look forward. There's always a big game that week, so just take it week by week.
After the Tennessee game on that Sunday, I came and watched film and met with Coach Kiffin, and the offense, how we down a couple guys in the receiver core, and I'm an athlete and I know both sides of the ball, and I'm able to play both sides of the ball, so it was just another opportunity, and I just took it.
It was great. We were just working out. Me and him always work out together, and we just had a conversation. I was like, I really felt like he deserved the opportunity to play at a school like Ole Miss. He was like, hell yeah, like I do. You know what I'm saying? So he just went when he prayed about it, and it was all God. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing I did. It was just all God. It was meant to be. And he one of the hardest working guys I've ever been around, the realest guy I've ever been around besides myself. So from the training, from the work, from how you take the field out the field, he came right here and made it happen and earned everything he got.
I mean, as a team, I think we're just super focused on each game, so I don't think it's too difficult now.
Yeah, right. In the future, I still see myself as a corner, but right now I feel like that this just shows how versatile of a player and how good of an athlete I am. So
that's crazy. It's crazy how God worked. He actually transferred his senior year, and I was like a junior. I was on defense, of course, and he played running back. And I would have never thought in a million years me and him playing together, and he also played on defense with me. So it's just crazy, man. It worked out for the better good, and we're just gonna keep striving, and it's just the beginning.
Yeah, if you look at it, Mark Robinson and his development, that his flash is really showing through, and he's really playing really well. So much so, he's basically sidelined Lakia Henry a little bit. Him and Chance Campbell have kind of taken that middle linebacker spot and that linebacker spot and made it their own with what they're doing. And the fact that athleticism is so much the hallmark of this group now, with athleticism, with the rise of the defense, you see the rise of the playing time of athleticism, and you can see how fast and how strong they are, and that allows them to do things that are a little bit differently. You add Jake Springer, who came back into that mix, and you have the ability to play some standard 3-3 stack stuff. And people need to realize that the godfather of the 3-5 is Joe Lee Dunn, who passed away yesterday, rest in peace. So they can do a lot of the same stuff that Joe Lee did with Jake Springer in the game, plus all of the drop 8 stuff, and you're starting to see the full package being implemented on this team. Now, I don't expect Bo Nix to have a horrible game or anything going against drop 8. Most quarterbacks struggle the first time they see drop 8 because of that reason, but he's already seen it from Arkansas. Now, Arkansas minus Jalen Catalon is not the same Arkansas, and we'll talk about a little bit about that tomorrow night with Kevin Bohannon. But it's important for people to understand what's going on with this Ole Miss defense. You're seeing them rise up, and it looks a little bit like 2008. Now, I'm not comparing this to the 2008 defense straight up. I'm just saying it looks a little bit like 2008, to where you can see them ramping into shape and getting a little bit incrementally better, and a little bit incrementally better, and a little bit incrementally better. Will they take the next step against Auburn, or will they regress a little bit towards the mean? That is the interesting question that I think everybody is going to have to answer with this defense. Will they regress to the mean? Now, Jake Springer with this defense, each game he's played, they've been pretty good. Just period. You take him out, they struggled. That's where the Alabama game was. That's where the Arkansas game was. I do think that Keydron Smith playing the Jake Springer role puts a limit on what this defense can do. Not anything against Keydron Smith, anything like that. He's just not Jake Springer. They're trying to recruit that guy. Actually, they're trying to develop that guy on the other side. That's Tysheem Johnson. But for this run this year, for what they're doing this year, they're hoping that Jake Springer can fill that void. And against Auburn with a quarterback that likes to run around, it might be counterintuitive, but if you can slow down the run game, you might want to heat up Bo Nix. Heat him up, make him run around, make them play backyard football because we are supremely athletic on the back end. And I think Bo Nix will give you the ball if that happens. Bo Nix is a good quarterback. This year, Brian Harsin's done a heck of a job. But it's important to know that if you put it back there with the changing of defense that are inevitably going to happen, you're looking at potentially confusing a Bo Nix. Now, I expect him to run around for his life and to make some backyard plays. Yeah, he's a good quarterback. But I'm not expecting them to do it consistently. The one that scares me is the Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter at running back. Even Sean Shivers a little bit at running back. They use him in the passing game out of the backfield. But if they can get on running the football, then it's going to be difficult to stop that pass game. Just like us. You look at us, we're supremely effective whenever we can run and pass. And the RPO system can actually work because you don't know what's coming. Well, you have a situation kind of similar at Auburn where the RPO system needs to take off. So Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter would open things up for Bo Nix. The possibility exists over there for a disaster game. We already had one of those in Tuscaloosa. A disaster game could happen in Jordan-Hare. I don't think it will, though. Before Alabama, I was pretty set on the fact that I was worried about what was going to happen going into that game, and I was worried about them being overwhelmed because it's the first time anybody has been in that atmosphere in 2 years. Well, since that Alabama game, we did that absolute zoo at Tennessee. Jordan-Hare is not going to be any facsimile of those two events because they're not going to be up to play us other than us being a top 10 team. It's standard up stuff. At Tennessee, for some reason, they were pissed off that Lane left 10 years earlier. Alabama, there was a deep-seated desire that they were afraid they were going to lose to where they were willing to change up what they do. I'd love to play Alabama right now with Jake Springer back. Love it. That's the thing about that game. The fact that we went into that game weak. No Jonathan Mingo, no Jake Springer. Handcuffed a little bit on the outside. We have to figure out where to deal with receivers on the field and how to line them up. That wasn't exactly filled out at the beginning, and it caused a little bit of a hiccup. Made us a little bit easier to defend. But right now, we're not as easy to defend. And there's rumors out there that maybe Mingo could be back for Texas A&M. Maybe. Who knows? It's just rumors. But that'll help. And I expect Braylon Sanders to go this week. I think last week was his week off. I think he's going to go this week. And him being back will provide a boost because him and Dontario is going to allow them to do a little bit different things. And if they get Jonathan back and they're good to go at the end of the year, yeah, it could be quite special. Hate that about Ben Brown, though. Ben Brown had surgery yesterday for a bicep, and he's out for the year. So, again, they get to play hodgepodge a little bit on the line. Cedric Melton's probably going to get some work. Jordan Rose, the reason they picked up Jordan Rhodes. Orlando Amana, they're going to go back and forth, and they're going to mix and match on the offensive line. The tackle position seems to be okay at this point. I mean, as okay as you can be. So going into Jordan-Hare, they need to really make sure their communication is where they need to be, because that can slow you down as much as anything, is that lack of communication. Because if you try to go too fast, it becomes like, how fast can you go and execute? That's the secret. Every team in the country can go as fast as we go. But how fast can you go and execute is the question. And we'll find out. We'll just genuinely find out this weekend. I'm personally really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Mississippi State and Kentucky as well. Looking forward to seeing the cocktail party, because I don't know why I think this. I do not know why I think this. But like, I picked Georgia in my picks, by the way. So that'll come out tonight with SEC After Dark, which, by the way, we sent out the link. If you want to echo it. We're not trying to grab subscribers. We just want content out there. That differentiates us from other places. We're just trying to get the content out there. And I just think that Dan Mullen's going to come up with a little bit of magic against that Kirby Smart defense. I think Georgia's probably going to come in a little bit overconfident. Now, Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and those guys aren't there. I understand that. But I do think Dan Mullen is going to come out and they're going to play above their heads. I don't think you're going to see Georgia go up against the same defense that LSU went up against last week. That bye week came at a really good time for them. So I'm expecting just a huge effort from Florida. Now, their lack of being able to use the pass game is probably going to bite them in the ass. And that's probably why Georgia's going to win the game. But it could be a game like 35-21, 28-14, somewhere in there, 31-17. I mean, that's the line, 14 points. And so I think it's going to be somewhere around that. I think Georgia's probably going to be able to take care of business, but we will see. Also, I'm looking forward to Mississippi State and Kentucky. I'm curious about that line. I'm genuinely curious about that line, because it's something to where Kentucky completely wiped the floor with Mississippi State last year. I think they scored like 16 defensive points last year, some ludicrous amount. And when you look at that, how is that going to translate? Because Mark Stoops completely played that drop 8. So it's going to be dink and dunk all day for Mississippi State. Expect a low-scoring game because of that drop 8. And I bet they're going to find moments to where they can zone blitz and heat up Will Rogers. I mean, that's just the way I'm seeing that. And I think Kentucky's going to win this game 7-10 points. But it'll be interesting to watch and see how it unfolds. I'm not a huge Will Levis guy. I do like Wan'Dale Robinson. That dude's a heck of a player. And because of their rise this year, they're in the catbird seat for Barry and Brown, a super athlete out of Nashville, by the way. So this is a big game for that, because people are trying to get on that Berrien train and have been trying to do that for a while. But Kentucky's doing a good job of recruiting. They have some pretty good players. Now, if you want to talk about the friends and family game, that's Missouri at Vanderbilt. I think Missouri's a 16-point favorite on the road, even though they give up 280 yards a game rushing. I will say that again. They give up 280 yards a game rushing. And it's the worst rush defense I've ever seen. And I'm an Ole Miss fan. So if I say that, it's like, it's pearl clutching time. Absolutely legit. But Connor Bazelak has played pretty well. Tyler Beatty has played pretty well. Vanderbilt is, I think toothless is the right word. You don't really have to worry about them burning you over the top. We'll see what happens. But they're in position to be like a generationally bad SEC team. So we'll see how that works out. And by the way, if Missouri wins this game, they're 4-4. Now, I think they still have Georgia, but they still have, let's see, real quick before we get out of here. what has Missouri got left on the schedule? So, let's see. Let's see. Now, I am not saying anything's going to happen, but if they win this game, they're 4-4, and then they go to Georgia and take a butt whooping. That's expected. That's going to happen. Then they play South Carolina. That's a game they can get. That's 5 wins. Then they play Florida. Who knows what's going to happen with Florida over the next couple of weeks? I know what I saw in Baton Rouge, but who knows what's going to happen to Florida? Florida should win that game, but who knows? The last game is at Arkansas. Now, we all know about the nightmare that Ole Miss has there. So, but, I mean, that could be the bowl eligibility bowl. Could be the let's go bowl. But that would be an opportunity. I can see them hitting 6 wins. Yeah. How much do they regret letting that Boston College game get away? That would be 6. That would be Birmingham. And they would take Birmingham this year. But all serious though, this is a generationally bad rushing defense. Watch it. Texas A&M in the first quarter of their game had like 10 carries for 150 yards. They were averaging 15 yards a carry. They didn't bust one. That's the other thing about that. They didn't bust a long one. Except, 25, 30 yards. All of them were long ones. But, yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. But they can still get to 5 for sure. I mean, they still have Vandy on their schedule. That'll get them to 4. And South Carolina. And if they win both of those, they move up in the 5th spot in the SEC East, and that's probably respectable to them. And it's not where they want to be, but it's something they can build off of. And if they can get a bowl game in that last game, Arkansas and Missouri, get to 6, I don't think people can understand how big that would be for Missouri. Also, I love Missouri's uniforms this year. They've changed them up. They look so good. They just need to get rid of that weird tiger design that goes on the side of the helmet and just go with the M full time. Just my opinion, but it looks very good. But anyway, I'm going to get you out of here a couple minutes early. Thank you for tuning in. A reminder, again, tomorrow on the POMcast, we're going to live stream early. Expect that to be at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern, because at 11:20 I have a telehealth appointment with my tumor doc and need to get that done. But thank you very much for watching. Tune in tonight for SEC After Dark. We got Jake Thomas coming in, the associate producer, going to be on the show. So we're going to 4-box it tonight. So we're pretty excited about that. And also Biscuits and SEC Friday, Bill Flowers tomorrow. We got a lot of stuff coming up. We hit the busy time of the week for SEC information and coverage. So thank you very much for watching. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, hotty toddy.